Hey, so peaceful parenting is the hardest but most rewarding, right? And so I am going to speak a bit on how we can experience more peace in parenthood and some of the things that kind of seem to get in the way of that, especially if you grew up in a household. For those of us who grew up in a household where nobody was talking about this stuff, or where you were spanked a lot, screamed at a lot. You didn't really have a close connection with the adults in your environment, or maybe you were close with those in your environment, but the examples you were uh, witnessing from their behavior were that of projecting emotions instead of sitting with them, and a lot of unconscious behavior, right? For those of us who may have experienced that growing up, we may find ourselves in a pickle as we attempt to parent our own children in a way that feels in alignment with who we are now, and what we want out of our relationship with ourselves and our child now, right? So it can feel difficult to experience the peaceful and loving and connected relationship that you are worthy of and that you deserve. It can feel difficult and even impossible sometimes to create that if it's not at all what we experienced consistently. So I just want to speak a little bit on why what we can do to make it feel a little bit easier, because it does get easier over time. Whatever you practice, you get more skilled at, right? Whatever you practice, you get more skilled at. And we can treat this as a skill that we are getting more and more skilled at. The more we can treat every aspect of parenting from our piece like a skill that we are getting more and more skilled at every day. Um, and I'm going to speak a little bit about that. And at the end, I'm also going to provide some action steps that can actually get the ball rolling, now, today. Because, we've been programmed and conditioned to believe that like transformation and experiencing tons of peace with our family and creating the life that we want and creating the home environment that we want with our children takes years, months, decades, etc. But it doesn't. Um, you know, in any given moment, we're either headed in the direction of where we want to be or we're not. And so the more that we get more skilled at calling out moment to moment when we're headed, the more that we give ourselves permission to heighten our awareness of what direction we're going in any given moment, the more skilled we get at calling ourselves out, like, oh, I'm definitely going in the direction of where I don't want to be headed as far as my connection with my child and myself is concerned. That's so powerful, because then as soon as we become aware of that, we are now headed in the direction of where we want to go, right? And the more that we are able to say, oh, yes, this is what I want more of in my experience with my child. Yes, that call out is also powerful because it helps us to feel grateful for where we're at, and it helps us to have more awareness of the activities, conversations, the energy that we're giving to our home and our child that are in alignment with where we want to go as far as our relationship with ourselves and our child is concerned, right? So it doesn't have to take years for us to experience tons of peace with our kids. It just takes awareness. And the more aware we give ourselves permission to be of our own patterns and habits, the more we notice ourselves going in the direction of our preference, right? We've just been so programmed and conditioned to point the finger and be more aware of where you're failing and you're not doing good and you need to do this. And if you did that better, then everything would be okay, right? And that just drains our energy, because ultimately we can't control our folks. We just can't, right? But everything in our reality, including our relationship, starts to shift in a very powerful way to the degree that we are aware of ourselves and our own tendencies and our own energy. So, um, parenting is the hardest but most rewarding, right? Okay. So, one of the things that I really want to invite you to ponder is, what do you think you deserve? Are you aware that you deserve a harmonious and balanced relationship with yourself and your child, right? Because one of the reasons that it can feel so difficult to parent peacefully, to give ourselves the permission to experience a more blissful and peaceful home environment, is that sometimes we don't believe we deserve it. And if we are operating as the version of ourselves that doesn't believe that we deserve it, then it's going to be almost impossible for us to create that from that version of ourselves. So, do you know that you're deserving of a healthy, happy, and harmonious home environment, right? And are you willing to give yourself more permission to shift into the version of you that's always available and accessible to you, that knows you're worthy of it, right? You are worthy of it. And if you ever have a hard time, what I always tell my clients that work with me one on one, or those who are in the $12 Parenting from Peace Now program with me, what I always tell them is, if you're ever having a issue with, if you're ever debating on whether or not you're worthy of it, always ask yourself, why wouldn't I be worthy? Why wouldn't I be? Right? And over time, spoiler alert, over time, ask yourself that enough, you'll realize that there is no real valid reason as to why you don't deserve to experience more peace, or peace in general, and also in your relationship, right? So the more you are operating as the version of you that knows you deserve peace, there's no real reason you don't, the more you're going to give yourself permission to give that to yourself, your child, and your home environment, right? If there's anything that you feel from your past makes you not worthy, forgive yourself. We all have something that we could feel shame about. Forgive yourself, right? Stuff happens. We've been learning and growing, and things have happened along the way. Don't let what's happened in the past prevent you from experiencing peace now. Okay. So another thing that can make it to where parenting can feel super, super hard, even though it gets easier and easier with practice, is caring what other people think. You know, for a lot of us, parenting from peace is the thing that catapults us into saying goodbye to the pattern of caring about what mom thinks, what dad thinks, what auntie thinks, what the world thinks. Because in order for us to parent the way that we really, really want to, it's going to cause us to be ourselves authentically 1,000%. And that's going to cause us to not care what anyone thinks. So if for those of us who may have grown up really needing our parents' validation to make the next move confidently, or for those of us who grew up really craving validation from others, or being dependent, our peace being dependent on whether or not other people were validating us, or if we kind of grew up needing our mom or dad or family members to really agree with the choices we're making, then parenting from peace can feel very difficult, because peaceful parenting tends to break that pattern and makes you totally dependent only on your heart, what you feel is true for you. So the more that you give yourself permission to no longer care about what other people think, the more that you're going to feel more confident in saying yes when you feel no, yes when you feel yes, and saying yes when you feel yes and no when you feel no. And breaking that cycle of saying yes when you feel no and no when you feel yes. And and then parenting from our peace, it requires us consistently, it requires us to be at peace, right? You have to be the energy you're trying to give to your child. If you want to parent gently, that means that you also want to, you have to be gentle within yourself to be able to parent gently. You have to be the energy you're wanting to give. And so it's almost impossible, if not impossible, to parent peacefully, consistently, if inside of ourselves we're always caring about what other people think. So, yeah, a lot of us sometimes go into gentle parenting, peaceful parenting, conscious parenting, thinking that it's all about just parenting our child, and we're in for a rude awakening, because it is about them, but in order to parent them the way that we want to, it's going to be, in a very beautiful way, cause us to confront certain patterns that don't really make us feel peaceful on the inside. Like, I wasn't at peace when I was always caring what other people think. I was actually oftentimes in fear and operating from a high level of anxiety when I used to care about what other people think. And I wasn't always able to do the things that I wanted to do in my life because I was afraid of what other people were going to think. And that trickled down to my parenting, because then it's like, I want to do this, but then the family's going to think that I'm crazy if I don't spank. Or I want to stop screaming, but then other people might think I'm weak because I'm not screaming. So I was always at odds with myself before I became a parent, because I cared about what other people thought. But then that pattern doesn't go away when you become a mom. It just manifests in different ways. So When the more you give yourself permission to no longer care what other people think, the more that you are going to experience more peace in parenthood, and the more that you're going to experience peaceful parenting not feeling as hard. Okay. The other thing is awareness of what in parenthood is important to you and making those a priority. So I invite you, if you're watching this, a really powerful journal entry that can really deepen your relationship with yourself and give yourself a higher level of will just you give yourself more clarity about what you really want, is to make a list of the things about parenthood that are important to you. Like, what's important to you? What when 10, 20 years from now, when you look back on your relationship with you and your child, what do you want to be able to say was the experience? Is it quality time, more quality time throughout the day? Is it peaceful communication? What aspects of parenthood do you feel is most important for you? Not what other people think should be, but what's most important about parenthood for you in 30 years, 40 years, when we're on our deathbed and we look at our relationship with our children? What do we want to be able to really look back on and say was the general dynamic between us and our child? Make a list of those things that matter. What's the type of energy that you want to be able to look back on and say you experience most of the time between you and your child? It's very important for us to be aware of what is important to us in parenthood without giving ourselves the time to become aware of that or to bring that to the forefront of our awareness. When we don't do that, oftentimes what we're doing is we're making important what other people think should be important, right? Or we're not making anything important, or we're treating parenthood just as a carbon copy of the way that those who raised us treated it. So it's important that it's very simple, but it's important that you bring to your awareness your intentions. What are your intentions for the relationship for you and your child? Because just doing that one time can drastically transform and impact the current state of your relationship with your child. That's how powerful your attention and your awareness is. Just bringing it to the forefront of your awareness right now, making that list right now, can really, really have you even further along on the trajectory of continuing to manifest that type of a bond and connection with your child. That's how your awareness is powerful, but that's for a whole other video. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to mention that can make parenthood seem super hard for those of us who may not have, experienced it as children. Another thing that can make it seem very difficult, but again, it gets easier over time, and that's giving our power away to life circumstances and other people's behavior. Okay. It's a pattern and a habit that we learned, but it's time to take our power back. And parenthood for a lot of us is what makes us really, really, really taking our power back seriously. Like, with joy, not too serious. I don't want to be too serious about it, right? But with joy. But for a lot of us, parenthood is the thing that makes us say, whoa, okay. Yeah, I need to call all my power back. I've given power away to so many life circumstances. I've given my power away to money. I'm in shambles when money looks one way, and I'm happy only when money looks this way. I'm in shambles when this person doesn't text me back, and I'm happy when they do. I'm in shambles when, what else? Traffic is not going the way I want it to, and I feel great when traffic is going smoothly. I'm in shambles when my child has a tantrum or a meltdown. I lose it and I'm flipping out, or I'm feeling happy when they're at peace. So a lot of us have been programmed and conditioned for many generations, and from the examples of those who raised us, to give our power away. That is giving our power away. You only have so much energy in the physical, relatively speaking, the physical body only has so much energy throughout the day before it's time to go night-night. You know what I'm saying? And every time we flip out about something, you can't see it with your eyes, or at least I'm not able to, you can't see it with your eyes, generally speaking. You can't see the amount of energy that's leaving your body to whatever you're giving so much energy and attention to. But you are literally, it takes energy to do anything. And so when we are tripping about traffic, tripping about finances, tripping about when we're tripping about whatever the tantrum, when we're flipping out about the tantrum our child is having, energy is leaving our field, and we are draining our own energy, and we've been conditioned to blame it on the circumstance, but the circumstance isn't holding a gun to our head saying, hey, give me your energy. We are giving it our energy. It's a habit, it's a pattern, it's no one's fault. We learned to do this by the examples we had growing up. We by seeing other people, it be a habit for other people to do the same thing. So the more we give ourselves permission to no longer give our power away to life circumstances, and to other people's behavior, the more that parenting feels a whole lot more peaceful. And it's like, so let's talk about some action steps. I'm going to close the video off with some ways that we can leave this video and actually go apply it, like right now. So how to make peace a priority, simplified. Okay, so how we can make peace a priority, there are billions of ways, right? One of the ways that we can do this is to literally start adding peace to our day, to no longer wait for life circumstances and other people to do it for us, but to literally start adding peace to our day. Waking up in the morning, taking a few conscious breaths, and then setting a timer to do it again in an hour, and then to do it again in another hour, and to do it again in another hour, or 2 hours. You can choose the interval, but literally start adding peace to your day. Like, do you know how empowering that is, that you can add peace to your day? You can add peace to your day. It's wild, right? And another way that we can make peace a priority is to remember that you are worthy of peace. Have a mantra going throughout the day. I am worthy of peace, right? Another thing is to make it a point to not just leave this video like, you know what? I do want to stop caring what other people think. No. Take it a step further. Set the intention to, when you notice yourself caring what someone thinks, give yourself permission to say, I learned to stress about this or worry about this, but I am free to do what I feel is best, right? You know, another way we make peace a priority is to give yourself permission to be aware as you can be, of when you are leaving your peace, of when you feel like, right now I feel very peaceful. I feel very good right now. But when I give myself permission to call myself out when I'm leaving this peaceful state, not in a mean, shameful way, but when I set the intention to be more aware of when I am believing that I have to leave this state, because I really don't ever have to. If you think about it, I don't have to, but we've been conditioned to believe we have to. But when I give myself permission to call out the moments that I'm feeling like I have to leave this state for whatever reason, that alone is a way to make my peace a priority, because I'm saying, whoa, I'm starting to get anxious about making dinner in 2 hours. And then it's like, whew, I was conditioned and programmed to trip about what's on the to-do list, but I don't have to, right? And it can be very, very difficult in the beginning, but again, you get more skilled at whatever you practice. So these are just a few ways that we can literally make peace a priority. I know that if you've watched any of my videos on other platforms, it can sound kind of cliche when I say, there's power in your peace, but it's not a metaphor. I'm being literal, right? But it doesn't really hit until you start to experience it yourself, right? Similarly, it can sound very cliche when I say, to make your peace a priority, that making your peace a priority as a parent is like one of the number one parenting hacks. But I'm being very literal. There are literal action steps, literal things that we can literally do that help us to make peace a literal priority in our life. And funny enough, majority of those action steps have more to do with, don't really take a lot of energy. They actually help us to call our energy back to us and help us to feel more replenished, rejuvenated, right? which brings about more clarity, and we're able to then operate from a higher level of emotional intelligence, right? Now, this video was supposed to be like 7 minutes, but obviously, I say it all the time, we're not in control of anything, and here we are, 19 minutes in. um, so let me see, giving our power away to life circle. Okay, cool. So that's one of the ways we can make peace a priority. What does it mean to do it? So what it means to make our inner peace a priority is literally to, it literally means to, instead of going around, running around every day, kind of like, I'm becoming a peaceful parent, and or I'm practicing being a peaceful parent, or I'm practicing conscious parenting, or instead of saying, yeah, I want to feel more peace, we're really, every day we have that intention, and we actually are putting some action steps behind it, right? Simple, practical, easy action steps are also in place, right? Okay, so what are the benefits? More clarity, more peace, a deeper connection with yourself and your child, your inner child healing, the child within you feeling like, more at peace. Your nervous system feeling more relaxed more often throughout the day, drastically reduces and over time eliminates spanking and screaming. They become sayonara. I mean, they become things of the past. Like, you start to experience that it is possible to go weeks, months, and years without spanking or screaming. Your children tend to listen to you way more when you are at peace, because it's easier for them to receive the messages, right? When the home environment feels more peaceful, your child is way more likely to listen to a 30-minute lecture about something. I'm telling you, like, much less a 2-minute instruction that you give them. They're way more likely, they're way more receptive to everything and anything that you have to share, because the environment feels peaceful. They're not in fight or flight. And just because your messages and your words and your actions are coming more from that peaceful energy. So the benefits, really, I mean, that's a whole other video in and of itself. And I don't want these to be too long, but yeah, tons of benefits. Or to be honest, I would have given it up a long time ago. The benefits are real, and it doesn't take forever for you to experience them either. That's the crazy thing. It doesn't take forever. It doesn't take months and years to start experiencing the benefits of making peace a priority and giving more intention and awareness to parenting from your peace, right? It doesn't have to be a long drawn out process. So an action step that you can take starting now to actually experience more peace is to ponder your favorite ways. Ponder the things that help you feel peace the most, whether it's listening to your favorite 80s music, 90s music, whether it's listening to that one song that always puts you in an amazing mood, and you create a game plan for yourself to do that every couple hours throughout the day. Maybe you're a meditator, like I used to be a heavy meditator, right? And maybe you want to meditate for a minute every hour or every 2 hours. Or maybe your action step is going to be that you're going to take 10 conscious breaths from the moment you wake up, and then set a timer to take 10 conscious breaths every 2 hours or every 1 hour. So if you want to add more peace to your life, and if you want to experience that parenting from your peace can be simple, then I invite you to, from some of what's been shared here, leave this video with an action step that you intend to implement starting today. You know, so yeah. For those of us who may not have grown up in a house where this was being discussed, or where our parents were practicing conscious living, conscious parenting, all that good stuff, or if you grew up in a house where you experienced a lot of trauma, etc., or a lot of power struggles, all that stuff, it can feel very difficult for us to transition or shift into parenting from our heart, from what we feel where we're at now in our lives to be true for us. It can feel hard. It can. It was extremely hard for me to break certain patterns and cycles. but it's possible and it's happening, and you're part of the happening, or you wouldn't have made it this far in this video. You wouldn't have clicked on the video. Okay. So be gentle on yourself, and yeah, sending tons of love. I hope that there's at least one thing from this video that adds value or helps you or supports you, because you don't really need my help. You have everything that you could possibly need within yourself. This is just a manifestation, a permission slip from you to you, supporting you. I hope there's at least one thing in this video that helps you give yourself permission to parent in a way that feels true for you. Peace.